Hello, this is a brief video to provide information on a recent funding opportunity from the United States Department of Energy under the SBIR STTR program. And this is a unique new funding opportunity for community-driven solutions for a just and equitable energy transition that serves all parts of society, including those that are disadvantaged or underserved and have been so in the past. I'm recording this in December of 2021, and this funding opportunity has been open for about 3.5 weeks and will be due in February of 2022. My name is Leon Wolf, and I'm the Federal Funding Assistance Manager at Virtue Lab, which is a nonprofit that is fighting the impact of climate change through technological solutions by supporting and funding startups with some degree of innovation or technology. The purpose of this webinar, if you're attending this today, you should be either a small business with a climate impact technology or clean energy technology, or you may be a nonprofit, a government organization, a larger business, or perhaps a research institution interested in partnering with someone to apply for this funding. So the Department of Energy has released these dedicated SBIR and STTR topics for just and equitable energy transition research and development for FY22 funding. And this webinar will explain how you will apply, who's eligible, and to help you decide if it's a good idea to apply, what steps you need to take and what the key dates are, whether or not your project will be eligible, and then how you can get some assistance services and help from other resources. First, some basics and some background. The federal SBIR, or Small Business Innovation Research Program, and its companion STTR, is a federal program of grants and contracts that funds for-profit small businesses to do research and development on their innovative technology or science and engineering projects that will ultimately lead to a commercial product or application. This is not a research grant, but it's not a form of equity or capital investment either. The government intends this as kind of a seed fund and brands it as such. We don't have time today, but you can learn a lot more at the federal government website listed here, www.sbir.gov. DOE, Department of Energy, is one of 11 different federal agencies that both have the budget and manage an SBIR and STTR program. DOE is about the third largest, and they award over $300 million a year in SBIR or STTR grants. Their approach, while they are a granting agency, they issue very specific SBIR topics that the small business must align with, and they do this twice a year. Topics change quite a bit, and there is a fixed schedule. You can't submit during a non-open window, and you can't just submit a general topic. You have to be very applicable to a given topic that is open at that time. SBIR and STTRs generally are grants that are issued in two phases. The first phase is a $200,000 feasibility or research grant, and DOE is about the middle of the pack as far as funding. The next phase, phase 2, is a much larger amount of money for product development and pre-commercialization activity. You must have received a phase 1 in order to go on and apply for a phase 2, and generally, and at DOE, the amount is $1 million. And again, in any SBIR or STTR program, the small business must be the prime recipient and the applicant for the grant. The nonprofit or research institution cannot be the prime, although a number of types of organizations can receive a subaward on an SBIR grant that can be up to 33% of the total budget, and an STTR, which is a special version of an SBIR grant and is done also at DOE, must be done in partnership with a research institution like university. In the special case of an STTR, they can get up to 60% of the total budget. But most of the time we'll be talking about SBIRs today, although I will use the terminology SBIR as a shortcut for both, and I'll only speak about STTRs when there's a specific need to. So on to some more specifics. The DOE, as I said, issued these somewhat unusual and unique set of topics in what they call their list of topics in basically a pre-release before the full funding opportunity window opens. Topic 6A, which is a single smaller topic, which is originated and managed out of DOE's Office of Electricity, that's electricity delivery and things like the grid. The topic is titled Advanced Energy Storage and Power Conversion or Electronic Systems for Energy Equity. And the idea of this topic is basically to make sure that the grid modernization serves many of the communities and underserved populations of interest that I mentioned earlier. Topic 7 is the much larger topic, and there's 8 subtopics under that. This comes now from DOE's Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, a different branch of DOE that's concerned with many of the renewable energies and clean energy listed here below. This topic is called Community-Driven Solutions for a Just and Equitable Energy Transition. And you must apply to a specific subtopic that's listed here, whether it's solar, bioenergy, wind or water, or vehicle technologies, or the others. And more detail is given. I'll provide an example later, and more detail is in the topic document. A general description for topic 7, this is considered to be a joint topic in that all of those offices of different forms of renewable energy listed earlier have agreed that they're collaborating on this topic, and they follow certain uniform, consistent guidelines from topic to topic. This topic aims to support small businesses that are advancing technologies that will integrate an opportunity for equity and energy justice, and it encourages small business technology developers either from disadvantaged communities and or with extensive substantial partnerships within those disadvantaged communities. And you should look at a specific subtopic for more details and requirements. So a quick definition, the term underserved communities, as far as DOE is concerned, follows the overall federal government guidelines. This is listed here as part of the President's executive order of January of this year, but generally refers to communities that have particular characteristics as well as geographical commonality, and that they've been systematically denied a full opportunity to participate in either economic, social, or civic life. And in the executive order, the communities listed give examples such as Black, Latino, and Indigenous or Native persons, Asian Americans, other persons of color, certain members of religious minorities, certain members of gender and sexual orientation, persons with disabilities, and they also included rural and otherwise poor or unequal areas. So it's pretty broad. So please see the executive order, or the list of topics has a footnote on page 28 and 29 that gives you more detail. So some specific requirements for topic 7, topic 6 is slightly less restrictive, but in topic 7, the applicant must, as I said, identify one of those lettered subtopics A through H from a given renewable energy office, propose a tightly structured program that has a beginning, middle, and an end, and technical milestones and goals and deliverables for this project. It can't just be an operational expense or an ongoing program. The proposing organization must have sufficient experience and expertise and ability to work with or for those disadvantaged communities in some way, shape, or form. You have to identify the disadvantaged community organization you're going to work with, although at the time that could still be under development or in discussion. And you have to present a thorough plan for involvement of the disadvantaged community. As part of the full proposal, you have to have a letter of support or even a letter of commitment for a given subawarded scope of work from a partnering community organization. And you have to explicitly and thoroughly differentiate what the product, service, or program you're proposing is from what's already on the market or what's the status quo. So one way of doing that, DOE is very interested in what the energy savings impact will be for the community of interest, and you have to do a cost analysis on what the cost of energy would be and the total cost of usage. Here's an example of a subtopic. This one is D from the Solar Energy Technology Office, also called CETO. And they are specifically looking for solutions that enable underserved communities to overcome barriers to implementing solar energy in their community. And as far as DOE goes, this is actually a very broad net they're casting. Anything that's considered an obstacle, whether it's cost, training, education, security, robustness, ease of deployment, those things, if you're somehow improving that for a disadvantaged community, they're looking for your innovation. These must be specific projects that are distinct from CETO's standard solar energy topics in topic 9 and 10, with no overlap, as well as meet all the requirements on the previous page. You'll notice that I'm including the program manager, and this person is available to answer questions, has authored the topic, and will be forming the review committee and participate in that process. So if you're interested or you want to move ahead and see what's involved, as I said, these topics have already been released and are kind of in a pre-release phase. A couple of weeks ago, DOE did some webinars over 3 days for the broad list of all of the SBIR topics. These community-driven ones were on the 17th, and I will I'll provide a link for DOE's recording, which is posted on YouTube, as well as their slides from those webinars. Interestingly, even if you wanted to apply, you couldn't apply until the funding opportunity announcement gets issued with more details on what both a letter of intent and a full proposal needs to be, and that's on December 13th of 2021. And a unique thing about Department of Energy is that they require a letter of intent from the proposing small business, specifically for a subtopic, and that is due by Monday, January 3rd. And I'll tell you more about that on the next slide. You will receive feedback if you're not responsive to that within 10 days of that date. And then if you are judged to be responsive, a full application is due on Tuesday, February 22nd. You'll hear back approximately on Monday, May 16th, and you can tentatively plan on starting, if awarded, on Monday, June 27th. Now, the letter of intent is really important, and it needs to be attended to almost immediately. It's due January 3rd. You must include identify and include the specific topic and subtopic you're applying to, like that earlier one, 7D. It'll contain some information about your business, and it has to include a 500-word technical abstract, and more information is available in the funding opportunity announcement. One business can submit up to 10 letters of intent, although I've never done more than 5. And I don't know if you could handle 10 full proposals. And as mentioned, non-responsive feedback, if you're not responsive to a given topic, DOE will tell you by January 14th. If you are accepted or judged responsive, you'll get no feedback. In other words, no news is good news. And you need to submit these online in a system DOE manages called PAMS. It's easy to get an account and to upload stuff. It's not the system that they use for full proposals, which do require more extensive registrations for the small business. Now, if you're a small business, but you don't have a community partner, I suggest if you don't already have some in your network, DOE is maintaining a teaming partner list at the following URL. And you can just look and get an idea of who else is on the list. Interested community nonprofits, if you are a nonprofit, an NGO, a utility, or larger business, or a university, you're encouraged to submit your name to this teaming partner list. But I would strongly recommend for the letter of intent that you at least have a fairly good idea. The small business must be identified, and the teaming partner that's not the small business, you at least need to be in discussions and have a fairly good faith process to decide whether or not you're going to participate in this. I would not recommend just saying that you're going to try to find someone after you submit the letter of intent. I know this is a lot to share, that I've shared a lot of information, and VirtueLab can provide much more extensive support through SBIR and other federal funding assistance programs that we offer. That's grant writing, one-on-one consulting. We have some resources and workshops, both recorded and live, although there won't be any for this particular proposal. Review and critique, and even assistance with those things like registrations and submission logistics. You can learn more or apply explicitly for assistance if you're a small business in one of the states listed below at the URL listed here. That SBIR assistance to companies in Oregon is offered at no cost, and that's through funding from the US SBA. If you're in Washington, Idaho, or Alaska, we get our funding from the Department of Energy, and we support selected clean energy startups, all of which would be eligible for DOE those DOE grants, so please contact us. If you're from another state, please send me an email and I'll try to match you up with resources in your state. So finally, I mentioned that there are some resources for you. The DOE website is listed here. It has the list of topics file that we'll attach, and it also has a funding opportunity announcement that will be released on the 13th. At the blog site you access this video from, we also have a link to some general DOE SBIR slides and recording, as well as, like I said, slides. The topic webinar recording directly from the federal government is posted on YouTube at this URL. That's the one on day 2 on the 17th for topics 6 and 7, among others. DOE provides free assistance nationally through an organization called Phase Dawnbreaker, who administers the Phase 0 program. This is available only to first-time applicants, and you have to apply online. You can do that and the VirtueLab program as well, and both are free. I showed you our previous slide for what we encourage you to apply for with VirtueLab. And if you want to learn more about the diversity, equity, inclusion of the energy justice or the Justice 40 initiative, go to the URL at DOE or look up the executive order I mentioned earlier. So thank you. Please contact me at this email or apply online at the virtuelab.org SBIR website. And I hope to hear from you, and good luck in your application.